If you could go back in time to your 25-year-old self and you could give him one piece of advice, what would you say to him?
If I had asked for what I need versus like looking for this physically beautiful person, I would have probably been married once versus 4 times. Here I am at 61. I feel I'm just like really discovering who I really am. If I could go back in life and do things differently, I would definitely do them differently than the way I did, for sure.
Is that a regret?
Oh, yes. Yes. Wow.
In this video, I'll be interviewing 61-year-old celebrity fashion photographer Matthew Jordan Smith, who is known most for photographing the likes of Zendaya, Oprah, Samuel Jackson, and Aretha Franklin on massive campaigns. But what you don't know about Matthew is that he's from New York, but at age 52, he moved to Tokyo, Japan. He's on his 4th marriage. His life is full of ups and downs, which in the Sprout world means he has a ton of valuable insights and wisdom to share. This might be one of my favorite conversations yet, so please enjoy this conversation with Matthew Jordan Smith.
How old are you?
I am 61. I'll be 62 in a few months.
What does it feel like to be 61 and almost 62?
Here, turning 60 was probably the first year where I thought about age. Yeah, that's my life. I've never really thought about it. Of course, I live in Japan now, and this is a very age-conscious society. But turning 60 now, I'm aware that, I don't have 60 more years left.
Does life feel real to you? Like the fragility of it?
It does. It definitely does. Life does feel real to me, probably now, at this point in my life, more than ever. The last 3 years, I lost my younger sister in 2021 during COVID, then my father the following year, then my mother on December 30th, 2023. And seeing things change, and as a photographer, I have all these pictures of my entire family. So those pictures to me that I shot in 2020, it feels like yesterday. But the world's changed a lot for me in 3 years.
What is it like, if you don't mind me asking? I'm sorry for your losses. What is it like to go through those moments? I mean, those are life-altering.
They are. It's intense because until you go through it yourself, there's nothing anybody can tell you to prepare you for what that feels like. Even this past Christmas for me, I go home and visit either somebody in my family, my parents usually. But this is the first Christmas holiday when there was no one to go home to. It shook me up thinking about that. It makes you think differently about life and time, and the time that we have.
The way you're saying, the way you think about life is very different right now. What do you think most people who are watching and just kind of coasting through life are not thinking too hard about, and maybe should be?
I think everybody's thinking that, or taking for granted that you're going to wake up tomorrow. Right. And that's not true. We know that life can change in an instant, just not taking life for granted and taking every day and being thankful for everything you have in the moment. My father passed from Alzheimer's. My mother from cancer, my sister from cancer. So I watched that process. And with my father, he almost forgot how to swallow, which sounds weird, right? If you can't drink, you can't drink water, you think about those things. So every day now, I wake up and I pray and thank God, I thank the Creator, and I thank Him for the first glass of water that I drank. I hold it up, I thank God for that glass of water. I drink that water and then I go to the gym. That's my day to start every single day now.
Yeah. For people who don't know you, what do you do for a living?
I'm a celebrity fashion beauty photographer. I've done that my entire life. My entire career has been photography.
How does one become a celebrity photographer? I've always wondered that.
I started off being a fashion beauty photographer, more on the beauty side, doing cosmetic. This is my life, shooting all this from here to here.
Right.
Clients saw my beauty work and requested me to shoot covers of magazines. And then I got asked to do celebrities. And then it kind of blossomed, and I became like this cover guy. I was shooting all these covers. Then became all celebrities. I got to know celebrities, and it just blossomed from there.
Wow. What do you think differentiates kind of you over your career to have allowed you to get to this place?
I think just really loving your craft and not having a goal of fame or money, just loving the craft. If you do that, I think you'll have a long career. If you're just chasing the superficial parts, I think that will fade. You gotta love it. You gotta love it when things are great and when they're slow, because there's ebbs and flows to business. And if you're only gonna be there for the good times, you're not gonna have a long career.
And you started when in photography?
I started as a photo assistant in 1987 in New York City.
All right, so people who are like around my age we live in a world with instant gratification where we want to get everything done fast. How does one approach a career that they might want to love and building that?
I think you said it right there. You gotta love it, because even being a photo assistant, I loved that whole process. I loved being around other creatives, watching things happen, come to life. I loved the business, and I still love it today. So I think you've got to have that first, and then things just happen.
So money wasn't the first objective?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, but back in the day in New York City, I was living literally off of peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think of the world now, and I think of complaints that younger people make, I think a lot of them is, I need to make money, right? Like things are expensive. How can I balance the need to make money while also balancing the desire to have a career I love?
It's funny, if you're thinking about just surviving, that part is not so hard. But people they're not talking about surviving. They're talking about having all this stuff. For me, that's 61, about to turn 62, especially living in Japan. I don't value stuff the way I used to. When you're young, you do. You want the cars, you want all this stuff. You want to live what you may think is a great life. Yeah, whatever that looks like. But it's really more just like enjoying your life and what you do and finding out early what's really important to you, not what's important to everybody else.
Okay, to do that, what is a question that I can ask myself? If I'm watching this, what is a question I can ask myself to maybe get closer to that? Because you're saying, how do you find what you want to do and what you value?
To get to the answer to that, I think you've got to really spend time diving into who you are as a person, being totally open and discover who you are. For me, here I am at 61, I feel I'm just like really discovering who I really am. If I could go back in life and do things differently, I would definitely do them differently than the way I did, for sure. To find out who you really are, you've got to be tested. Tests show you who you really are. When you're going through rough times, it shows you who you are. Don't be afraid. I think people are afraid to try something new. When you're young, try everything.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid, because you get the fruit when you go out on a limb. So go out on a limb and try something.
A lot of people who are, let's say, older, they say when you're young, try everything. What about if you're not young?
Well, I moved to Japan only 8 years ago. So I was, in my 50s when I moved here. Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't do that. I'm like, leaving all my clients that I know in the States. It was a very scary thing. But you have one life, and you have to do the things you want to do, because tomorrow's not promised. And why live this life thinking like, I'm living based on my career? I want to live my life doing things that I want to do.
Yeah. So we are in Tokyo, in Japan. I'm visiting here. I'm traveling through here. You live here. How did this happen? Because you're not originally from Japan.
No, not at all. I'm from New York originally. Grew up in South Carolina. Went back to New York to start my career. And I was the guy who said I'd never leave New York. I thought it was the center of the world. Then I got burnt out from maybe working too much. I don't know. And I took a month-long trip, went to India. And on that trip, I decided I'm going to move. I'd come to visit Japan maybe 10 times in my life, and I loved it. It felt like the best of New York and leaving the worst parts out. And I made the move here.
And you're how old when you made that move?
52.
52, wow.
Yeah, 52, 53 almost. It's a scary move to make that move. But when you're older, you don't feel different. You feel the same. I now can distinguish between my body and Matthew, the soul of me, which is different. And I feel that. And you've got to do the things for your soul that give you happiness, because you don't get another chance.
What did the people around you think when you decided at 52 to move to Japan?
They thought it was crazy. They all think it was crazy.
I was telling about wins, right? And most people here have probably seen Wins' video. A big topic that I asked him about was being Black in Japan. I would love to hear your perspective.
Oh man, I gotta tell you, I feel It's strange to say this, but I feel more at home here than I do back in my own country. I feel much safer here than I do in my own country. It's not easy to work here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm self-employed, so that helps, but I know other friends who have a hard time getting work besides being a teacher or being in tech. Even as a photographer, I probably make more money being back in the States. Well, I know I would, but I live longer here.
The opinions of other people
They don't matter.
it is arguably the thing that bothers people the most, though. I mean, you said everyone thought you were crazy. You did it anyways. How did you deal with that?
Nobody cares about you. I mean, we all think, oh, what are they going to say? But maybe they say something for like an instant, and then they're on to somebody else. Nobody really cares about you and what you do with your life except for you. Maybe your family might say something here and there, but ultimately, they're thinking about themselves.
Right.
Most people are. So live your life for you. That's all that matters.
Did you ever care a lot? Did you put emphasis on that? Like, is this like
I
a
think
recent?
Too much. Yeah, absolutely.
When did that change?
Losing my family members made me realize that you have to live for you and what you believe and not be scared of what anybody thinks. Everybody wants to be part of a group and be accepted, but you have to live your life true to you and what you believe is important. And living in Japan, I'm living that life for me, not for my family, not for my friends. This is for me and for my soul. It's the best thing at this point in my life.
Yeah.
I love living here.
You said you've been married 4 times, married right now, but 3 didn't work out. If you're thinking back on those experiences, why did those not work out?
In the beginning, I think because I was like, oh, if it's not my way, it's the highway. I think living in New York, you feel like you're living in a candy store. That doesn't mean...
Biggest problem with the dating world right now.
It is. It is. But I gotta tell you, all these things you think matter, they don't. I can tell you this for sure. The things that people, especially men, think are so important, they are not.
Example?
Stop looking for this beautiful woman who you think is like the end-all, be-all, and get to know the person as a person. See what you have in common. Find out about, the Bible talks about being equally yoked. Super important. Who's going to be your friend for a long time? That's what's important. It's not about the physical, like many people think, like I used to think back in the day. It's not about that at all. It's really about having a real connection. Even when you don't believe the same thing, still having a great connection, being able to talk about anything and everything. Yeah. Those things are important.
And you've been with your wife right now 8 years?
8 years, but dated 2 years before that. It's the longest relationship in my life.
Yeah, so this is, okay, so the longest relationship in your life. Can you define the word love for me?
Oh, yes. Wow. Loving the person, whether they love you back or not. It's very easy to love somebody when they're loving you and everything's perfect and wonderful. But when love is tested, if they hurt your feelings or go against what you think is your core, will you stop loving that person? And if you do, is that really love? Love is forgiving somebody over and over and over again. Love is letting the person do the things that they enjoy, even though you may not. Love is evolving all the time, and love is never giving up.
I think you are better than Morgan Freeman. I think you.
I don't know about that.
You would be a fantastic narrator.
I don't know about all that. I just know, the one thing of being through so many relationships in my life and chasing the wrong thing, I finally figured out that you have to let go of everything that you think that you want. And for me, it was asking God to bring the person in my life that I need to be with and have faith. Faith's a funny thing because it's the one thing that people have a hard time with. If you can't see something physically, you don't believe it. But faith is that, believing what you can't see and truly trusting.
Were kids ever on the table for you? Is that a regret?
Yeah, it is. I think when I was much younger, for sure, I was like, oh yeah, one day, one day, one day. And I always put it off. And then when I met my wife now, we were both older and it was off the table. I feel like all these things happen for a reason. So I don't question them.
I have a question here from my goal setting journal. We ask everybody this question.
Journal. It's great there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a journal that we basically created based on like all the interviews we've done, and it has 3 parts that helps you figure your life out. You know, you said at the beginning, who am I, right?
Yeah.
So actually here, look at this. This is the first section is called Who Am I? And it leads into setting goals, and which basically
Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, I want one. I definitely want one of these. I love that. I love that. I do believe in, and I'm old school, pen to paper.
Exactly. We don't sell a digital version. So the question I have here is, so what is a goal that you set for yourself maybe when you were younger that you still have not achieved?
God, there's so many goals that have not been achieved that I thought I wanted. Making $1 million in a year, I haven't hit that goal. That was a goal because you hear it so much, but I'm not sure if that was really my goal. For me, like, money's not a driving force for me. It's not the end-all be-all. So I'm fine with that goal. For me, it's more enjoying my life and having experiences.
Why do most people not achieve their goals?
I think people are scared. A lot of people may be scared or fearful. Not maybe scared. They're fearful of going through the pain it will take to achieve their goal. And many goals, it will take some pain. It won't be easy. I've done 4 books now. None of them were easy. None of them were easy.
Right. Yeah. I think everything that you wanted that was meaningful to you was probably difficult to achieve.
Absolutely. Moving here was not easy, but I'm thankful I'm here.
If I'm watching this and I'm maybe working a job I'm not happy with, I'm maybe not in the right relationship or not the right relationship status, what would you say are maybe 3 steps that person could take to go from where they are now to where they want to be?
First thing, like your journal book, writing down, deciding what you really love in your life. Not just like. We all like a lot of different stuff. But define what you love, spend time just writing those things down, and then find out how to make those things come to life in your life. The word love is overused in many ways. But when you think about what you really love, that's only a few things. Now, leaving the job may not be easy, but nothing good in life comes easy.
If you could go back in time to your 25-year-old self, and you know everything that you know today, and you could give him one piece of advice on living a great life, what would you say to him?
Oh, wow. I wish I could go back to my 25-year-old self, and it would be to not be afraid. Because I think I've been farther along if I had not been afraid of what people think. I didn't read going back again to the Bible. I was afraid of what people would think if they saw me doing this or doing that. When I should have read it for myself, it would have made my life much, much better. I would have seen things differently. I've been more forgiving earlier. I would have loved differently.
I think I have to put an affiliate code on the Bible in this video. Thank you so much, Rad.
Pleasure, man.
Appreciate it, man. That was amazing.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you aligned with anything Matthew said and you're unsatisfied with life, you want to live a more fulfilling life, check out our goal setting journal linked in the description and on the screen right now to take your life from where it is today to where you would like it to be. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.